me too, so indecisive. Don't know if it's right, baby, but I like it for sure. Let me hear that one more time. Tony right, got the spice, fit my type, baby. It's on sight, it's a go, but still I wonder, are you hype for the love of my life, baby? No, I might never know, no.
Okay, I'm swerving when I pull up, ayy. Irvin, how I pull up, ayy. One day see me stage diving, hands in the air like a hold up. Ride around in that city, windows down, blowing heaters. Kick it with my feet up, Mazda 3, 4-seater. Hey, yeah. Foot up on the gas, pedal to the metal, yeah, I like to drive it fast. Had to get my G's up, leave your head to hit the dash. They won't set me up like call me when you coming back, yeah. You might catch me in the summertime shot, cruising down LSD, yeah, love how I ride. Yeah, chubby white kid with the bleach blonde hair. Yeah, I'ma be the man when I come around here. Hey, swerving, 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 swerving. Then I pull up, hopping out like what up? Who I'm about to pull my foot up. Hold up, hope somebody run up. While we on for the night, I be out until it's sun up. It be all about the high until someone put a gun up. If you run up, don't be scared. I'ma always be prepared.
pros, ain't no cons. It's just business every day. It gets cold on the lawn, don't get finished on the plate. I got bones in my jaws that expose all the fakes. Hey. Swerving, 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 swerving. Swerving, 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 swerving. 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 Swerving, 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 swerving. Swerving, 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 swerving. Swerving, 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 swerving.
We got episode 95. Me and Jay, we sent all the articles and stuff to the Discord. There we go. They didn't even hear that. GhettoRig episode 95. We live.
Welcome back, guys. Hey, guys. GhettoRig episode 95. Okay, so it's a truck. We're packing a bunch of stuff right now. Take out your pens
Jay's
and
excited,
papers.
you guys can tell.
Yeah,
so
take out your
excited,
pen
his
and
hat
paper.
sideways.
Yeah, sideways hat. You know, that's the vibe today. Mazal.
What in tarnation is that?
So these guys in New York City they had on 47th Street, New York City, is where like the jewelry district is, and so a lot of these guys sell watches and jewelry and stuff, and a lot of them are Jewish, and they kind of took the Mazel Tov, Mazal. They use that like as a nickname for like when they finally make a deal. So when they say Mazal and it's like deal, they shake hands with Mazal.
Mazal is like what Mazal means. It's when they do a Mazal. So if they sell something, that thing, whatever they sold, is gonna bring good luck to the person, and the person that's giving them the money is gonna bring them good luck. Like that's what the word stands for. So every time they do that, they shake hands, and that's like the final seal, right? Yeah. Basically, so that's what it is. And we've been making jokes about it because it's it's funny, right?
We consume a lot of the content because we like watches and stuff.
But anyway, guys, like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. Don't want to say it again. I don't want to interrupt. We got Marvin in the house finally. I was trying to get his attention, but he's been busy doing stuff, and I'm hoping he's gonna talk about it. I've been seeing his reels on daily. He'll post like 95,000 reels a day, and they're super cool and informative. He gives really good little tiny bites of information.
I'm gonna send Mickey. I'm gonna send you a link for his Instagram so you can pop that in the chat.
Yeah, guys, please go ahead and like and subscribe to all of Marvin's. He's got like 95,000 pages. Just subscribe to them. You know what I mean? If anything, you're gonna get really cool content, information that you most likely don't know, right? Unless you're into what he was doing, you won't know this information. So please go ahead, like and subscribe. Anyway, without further ado, Marvin, just introduce yourself very quickly for those that don't know you. But yeah, that's what we got.
What's up, y'all? It's good to be back. It's me, Marvin, aka Money Marv. You know what I'm saying?
It's been a while. We had you on like early, right? When we were still at Jay's house.
When we were just starting the podcast.
We were having some real conversation. We was talking about Jay's getting in his feelings.
Getting beat up by Amanda Nunes, right? I think we talked about that with you.
Those are great conversations, man. But my name is Marvin, Money Marv. You know, I'm an entrepreneur, engineer, investor, dog owner, friend, explorer, traveler, all of the above.
What kind of dogs do you have?
So I have one dog. He's a rescue. His name is Rocky. I got him when he was 1 year old, from the Humane Society.
Bro, Rocky is just like Marvin.
He is
small and dense, like a fucking brick.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah,
he's a beast. Like he's a beast.
Marvin's not small. He's dense. He's not small.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. Like when you see Marvin, he's not the tallest guy. He's not the shortest guy. He's right in the middle of the height. But he's fucking dense, right?
He's mid-sized, but he's brolic.
He's brolic.
You know what I'm saying? He's 45 pounds. You know, he's kind of long. He's like a terrier mix.
Yeah.
He's got long hairs on the top of his back, but he's got short hairs on the rest of his body. He's a cool-looking dog.
Yeah, and he has those hypoallergenic hair, right? Like, because he's a terrier, so he doesn't really shed that much, right?
I can't speak on that.
No.
I don't know. I have no idea. He does shed, though.
He does shed.
So, he does shed.
Are you more of a dog guy, cat guy? You ever had any other pets in your life that you mess with, or no? Mostly just dogs.
So like I don't, and a lot of people are gonna disagree with me on this. I don't believe cats should be pets. Like I feel like we domesticated dogs, like we genetically engineered dogs to be what they are today based upon the physical features that we like. But for cats, like we didn't really do that per se. Like cats look how they look in the jungle. It's just a matter of how big they are. Like, we didn't change their nose, we didn't change their ears, we didn't change their tail. Like, if anything, we declaw them and fix them for our own personal needs. But as far as, like, domesticating them down to where it's, like, they look physiologically different than a wild cat, they're really equipped the same. Like, I think they could survive perfectly well on their own in the wild. And their habits in the house is not conducive to a house pet. Like the fact that they have to shit. Can we curse on this podcast?
Yeah.
Okay. Curse. You can say whatever you want, bro.
The fact that they have to shit inside the house tells you that they're not supposed to be in the house. The fact that you can't really train them. Now, I've seen YouTube videos, right, where somebody's trained a cat to go to the bathroom and stuff like that. But who's gonna go through all that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't really like cats in the house.
I don't like cats.
I admire looking at them from afar, though.
Two interesting facts about cats. I don't know if you guys knew this. Two interesting facts. One was, there was this Russian cat trainer that trained the cats, and it was worldwide known. So he got these cats to the point they would do tricks like a dog would, right?
Yeah.
And he was worldwide known for it. But the second fact is a little more interesting. If you pass away in your house and you have cats, within couple of hours, cats will start like eating on your body. They will literally decapitate you. They will literally decapitate. They'll rip your head off your body.
They'll purposely go after, they say, the neck and cheeks.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, cats will do that. Now, dogs, some dogs will do that after a while. Golden retrievers never do it.
Yeah. They'll die.
They'll die. Yeah. They'll die.
I think cats, man, like it's what like you were mostly saying, they're not a very good household pet, and they also still have a lot of their like wildness in them. Versus dogs are very easy to like because of the wild, also their pack animal style. They're very easy to just like you're not alpha.
Right.
Cats kind of still have it in them where they'll try you, man. They'll try you every once in a while. Like your dog is more loving, man. Like and also like. Cats, they're nasty. You're absolutely right about how they have to shit and piss, and then they'll purposely shit and piss and vomit on places that you know that you things you use a lot. You know that they get jealous of items like, for example, the TV, your phone, your laptop, things like that. When they want attention, they'll purposely go and regurgitate on those items because they're just that much of an asshole.
I knew there was a reason why I didn't like them.
And cats are arguably
man.
Especially domestic cats, arguably are the most ferocious animal out there. Throughout the year, domestic cats kill more of the other animals than any other species on the planet Earth.
We got a rat problem though. Get some cats though.
Yeah, they'll fuck up some rats. They'll fuck up some birds. They'll fuck up some lizards. They constantly fucking killing shit.
Did y'all see that video on YouTube with the cat that like went up against a crocodile and the crocodile backed down?
Yeah. Yeah, because it smacked him.
Yeah, just one time in the mouth. And the crocodile was like, I'm good.
I saw that there was this thing actually that cats produce like this parasite in their gut.
They do.
That is actually one of the reasons why rats will stay away from them. So it's not only that they know they're gonna die, this predatory thing. There's actually this parasite they produce in their gut when they shit and piss around and stuff.
Gross. That
the rats will pick up, and then like if one rat has it, like the rest of the rats will kind of figure out like that's not the area we should be going to.
Gross.
But yeah, so
gross,
cats.
yeah.
But here's
and they say it's actually could be and infect humans, the parasite.
Yeah, but the good part about the cats is that if you are a busy person, you just kind of leave them.
Yeah,
on
low
their own.
maintenance.
They just take
They are
care of
low
this.
maintenance.
Yeah, they are low maintenance.
A dog is almost like a goddamn kid at first,
Yeah.
especially the first year when you're trying to potty train them and.
But there's, bro,
they're
like
like a
today I
child.
walked in, both of the fucking dogs ran up to me and they're just like, because they produce so much oxytocin when they see somebody that they know. It's like they're in love with you. Like, you know, they just want you to pet them and hug them. And like Zeus will do his little ritual where he goes between your legs and just rubs all over you and just like wants to be around you, wants you to touch him, you know, physically touch him. With the cats, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, they're like, be close to me, but don't really touch me.
Yeah, and then touch me when I want you, and then you need to read my mind and stop touching me when I don't want you.
You know what it is? They say that cats get sensory overload. So like that's why you can't horseplay with a cat or like pet them hard because they have a sensory overload and they freak out.
Huh.
So even to their own owner, if their own owner pets them too hard or starts messing with them too hard, like they'll just freak out. That's just nature for them. I guess that's what I've heard.
All right, guys. So we nerded out a little bit. Miggy, do you have Marv's Insta up?
Yes.
Yeah, I sent it to him earlier.
All right,
already.
cool. So Miggy has Marv's Insta up. Guys, please check out Marv's Insta. Give him a follow. If anything, you're gonna get good content.
Y'all gotta get the screen in here so we can see the comments. I like seeing the comments.
Yeah. So yeah, please go ahead, guys, and comment on it. Okay, one more thing, guys. Here, see this sign behind me? Vitality. Go ahead, comment Vitality in the chat, and you get that one credit. I was just on a downtown location. Location looks crazy nice. And I think every month they're gonna start doing events. So definitely go check it out. It's so a bunch of entrepreneurs there, a bunch of people that are within the industry, health industry. And if you want to stay healthy and all that stuff, check out Vitality. Anyway,
how much they paying you, bro?
They're the sponsor
what's
of
what's
like,
the sponsorship?
If
fee?
not Vitality, we would not be here. Like they're the ones that originally donated the very first computer. They've always been there. You know what I mean for us. So
we're still using parts from that computer actually. The graphics card. We did upgrade a little while ago. Jay did us the courtesy of upgrading the computer, and we're still using the graphics card from that setup. So Ozzy's still
Yo, shout out
embedded
to
in
Ozzy.
here.
What up, Ozzy?
Yeah, he's in the chat now. Actually.
Ozzy's in the chat, always supporting us. The place looks really, really good downtown. I was just there. We threw a little reel on Insta page. But anyway,
Ozzy, don't forget to get your free modality credit by commenting Vitality in the chat. Don't forget, bro.
Yeah, Ozzy. All right, so without further ado, go ahead, Mark. Tell us a little bit more about what you got going on.
So basically, earlier this year, I got a notice from the IRS.
That's never good.
And they audited me from 2018. And I felt kind of helpless because, in 2018, I used a tax preparer. Like, I trusted them to prepare my taxes properly. I thought I gave them all the documentation that was necessary. And I believe I got a return that year. I don't remember. It was 2018. So I get this notice. They're saying I owe them a bunch of money. So me at this point, I'm studying investing. I'm going to conferences. I'm taking courses. I'm reading books. I'm learning about, financial literacy in whole, the wealth game. So I start reading about taxes, and I start reading about the IRS, and I start reading about the tax game. And I'm like, you know what? Not only am I going to take my taxes into my own hands, I'm going to start a tax business and be vertically integrated into my other businesses so that I don't have to worry about using a tax preparer. I'm going to be my own tax preparer. I kind of put that to the side until InvestFest in August. When I went to InvestFest, which was in Atlanta this year, I met a lady. Her name is Latanya. There was a vendor marketplace, and she was doing tax mentorship. So she's been in the industry for 35 years. She's from Texas. She owns her own bank. She made her first million 20 years ago. Like, she's a self-made millionaire. She came from nothing. Like, she's an inspiration, a black woman, very inspirational. So I spoke to her, and she offered me a good deal because it was InvestFest. Everybody there was entrepreneurs. Everybody there was serious about business. So she would normally charge like $5,000 for this mentorship, but she gave it to me for $97. So I took the mentorship. I followed her instructions. I read the books. I took the courses. I did everything she said to do. And now I'm running this tax business. We have calls every week. I actually just got off a call with her like right before this meeting. I was almost late to this podcast because of the call. Just telling us, like how she did marketing and different things we could offer and stuff like that. So I'm building this tax business. Like right now I'm building my team. So I am hiring. If you guys know anybody that's interested in the tax industry, anybody looking to make some extra money this season, my business is not limited to just tax returns. I'll be doing tax strategy, tax resolution, and tax planning. And I'm also doing business taxes, payroll tax automation. I just did a partnership with ADP, where now I can offer ADP for payroll automation for small businesses. That's the number one tax resolution case, is because people fail to pay payroll taxes because you have to pay them either every month or every quarter.
Go a little
and
more
lot of
into
people
detail
forget.
what's ADP. Go a little bit more into detail what's ADP as far as like go a little more granulated.
So ADP is an enterprise business operations software platform. It handles everything from payroll taxes all the way to insurance, 401ks, HR, time off. It's basically your back end HR / business ops.
So it's like
management
Quicken,
system.
but just on steroids.
I've never heard of Quicken.
Well, Quicken is just that's what majority of the businesses will run Quicken because they have their liabilities and income and liabilities. So just kind of what they do later, they just compile all that, pull it off of it, and they hand it over towards their tax return person. Tax return person takes that, loads it into their software, which then processes it.
It's similar, except ADP is directly integrated with the IRS. So it actually files the taxes directly with the IRS. And I also offer ADP Total Source for big businesses too. So if you're doing more than like $10 million a year, you would qualify for ADP Total Source, and that's
going to be on a quarterly basis though, because when you're doing about 10 million, you probably want to be on a quarterly basis, right? Versus like doing it once a year type of deal.
It depends on your preference as a business owner. Me personally, I would do quarterly, and this is probably what a lot of businesses do, but I would take all of my receipts as soon as I get paid, as soon as I get receipts, like weekly receipts, I would just take the taxes out of that and put it into another account. And then every quarter, just basically pay out of that account automatically to the IRS, just so you don't forget.
Yeah. So you've been doing the tax. So the whole thing started because they wanted you to pay them money, but like how you were like, okay, well, you want me to pay like how did that come about? Like, did you contact the company that did your taxes for you, or how you were like, all right, well, I can trust these people, like let me start doing my own.
So apparently I claimed some deductions that I did not have the receipts for.
Okay.
2018 was the year I quit my job.
Do you remember what deductions were they, or because you weren't really paying attention?
I wasn't really paying attention.
Okay.
Like I think it was like mileage, and it was a bunch of different deductions. I was very inexperienced in 2018. Like I was young, I was ambitious. I quit my job. I was like, you know what? I got like $20,000 saved up. I'm gonna quit my job, start my own business, be an IT consultant, and I did that. And I actually made like $90,000 that year.
Yeah.
But one thing I didn't realize was that you can go fast by yourself, but you can go a lot farther with a team. And I did not do a good job of building a team. And because of that, I had a hard time managing it. And then COVID hit. And as soon as COVID hit, you know, it got really tough. And I was like, you know, let me go back into the workforce. Let me re-strategize, replan, and then really figure out how to go off on my own and do my own business. And I'm glad I made that decision.
Good. So when you said you kind of quit your job and the business was the tax business, that's what you went into?
When I quit my job?
Yeah.
No. So when I quit my job in 2018, 2019.
Okay. That was the IT consulting.
Yeah, that was IT consulting.
Okay.
So I'm a software engineer by trade. So I was taking on individual clients, building websites, doing mostly Shopify stores, payment card integrations. You want to sell something online, you want to integrate your bank, I would do the integration into your website. I would do front end design, back end design, things like that. I would consult people when things go wrong and you know, help troubleshoot database issues and things of that nature.
Gotcha. I need to put you in contact with a friend of mine that does. I don't know if you're still in that game, but he does websites. You know, and he's pretty successful. Matt.
I instantly thought of Matt.
Yeah, he came on our podcast. I gotta put you in touch with him.
Shout out Matt. He's been putting out a lot of content lately too.
Yeah, he's putting out a shit ton of content. We gotta have him back on there because he started a new venture as well.
Yeah.
See, this is what this podcast is about: bringing people in that are just starting. You know what I mean? And they're gonna be somebody, because you can tell these people are gonna be somebody down the road, right? Like, because everyone brings like people that you already know, but there are people out there that you don't know anything about, and just like Marvin, that fucking quits his job and says, I'm gonna start my own business, makes $90,000 first year, fucking fails. Iris comes after him. He says, fuck you. I'm gonna stand up back on my feet, do it all over again. And a lot of people don't realize like that's what this game is. It's not about how hard you fall. It's like, how can you get up, right? Like that's the end game, right?
I think the number one thing that holds people back from starting their own business is their unwillingness to fail. A lot of people think that, oh, I'll start my own business when I can do it perfectly the first time, or
it doesn't ever work.
Or it's not going to work because I'll lose too much money. Like, yes, you are going to lose too much money. Yes, you are going to fail. But it's important to fail as soon as possible. Fail fast, fail early, fail often. Fail until you don't fail anymore. But you have to be willing to fail.
And by the way, guys, and if you are running a business, I just told this to Marvin. There's a really, really cool book that I just started reading, and the name of the book is Buy Back Your Time. And it specifically talks about what Marvin is talking about, where he wanted to do it on his own, and that was one of the crutches, right? And now he's building a team because he's realizing, like, yeah, can I do this 100%? Yes. But then it's taking up a whole lot of fucking time from my day. I'm starting doing the mundane shit that I don't like. Then I might start hating my business because I'm doing the mundane shit. Next thing you know, I don't even want to touch it because it's so boring to do it, right? But then you hire somebody that's all about it. So let's say talking about content, right? Like we're creating content. Creating videos is not very interesting. But there are people out there that will love to create videos because they like that whole producing. What's the word I'm looking for? The artistic side of things, right? They'll produce the video, they'll get paid, and they'll be pig in shit, happy, creating videos and getting paid. You know what I mean? So that's what the book is about, you know, hiring.
Speaking of creating, when we talked last time back when we were at Jay's house, you had just did your setup for producing beats. Are you still doing that?
So I'm still tinkering around with Pro Tools, but not really for the same reasons. I haven't given up on the whole making beats idea or making music idea. But my media company has transformed. No longer is it just for the purposes of making beats. It is my media company. So the purpose of the company is to create all the media needed for my other companies.
Right.
So
right.
I have my tax company and I also have my publishing company, which I think we'll talk about later. So all of the website design, all of the posts I do, the video, the audio, I produce it in that studio in the name of my media company.
Badass.
So it's kind of transformed in that way.
Badass.
So where do you see your largest wins and largest failures since you started this new tax venture? Where do you see that you're succeeding, and where do you see that like, oh shit, this is fail, I need to be doing, and what you have implemented to overcome those obstacles?
So I'll start with the failure. So the largest failures that I had towards the beginning was trying to do everything myself. I've heard it before, I've read it, I've seen it, you know, but when my mentor told me, like, you need to build a team, Marvin, like, you have to build a team, like, you have so much potential, like you have so much leadership, you have so much vision, but when you have vision, you need a team to execute that vision. And I was thinking about Tom Brady. I was like, why is Tom Brady the greatest quarterback of all time? Like, does he have amazing quarterback skills? Of course he does. But he's amazing because you can put that man on any team and he could win a Super Bowl championship. He has vision and he has leadership. So it really takes a team to get the biggest win. The biggest win so far, honestly, was like putting together my publishing company and like writing my book and getting my book printed and getting it published.
Nice.
It's not officially published yet because I have my distribution channels turned off, but all my distribution channels are set up. Like, this is the most strategic I've ever been about a business. At first, I was focused on the idea. Like, if I have a good idea, I'll make a lot of money. Now it's like the idea is not enough. I need to worry about how am I going to get this idea out to all these people? What are my distribution channels? What is my marketing strategy? What is my tax strategy? What is my employment strategy? How am I going to build my team? What's my company culture? I'm starting to think more granularly about my business. And to me, that's a huge win because now I'm a lot more confident starting businesses and going into it and advising other people and mentoring people. I realize that I love growing people. I love seeing people grow, seeing the potential in others, and seeing that come to fruition. Like, I have this girl on my team for my tax business, and she loves marketing. Like, she loves to read, and she loves plants. She loves different types of things. And I talk to her about like her ideas and like where her future is. Like, cause I know it's not going to be with my business. Do I want her to like have her own tax business one day and be partnered with my tax business? Of course. But what I want more than that is I want her to do what she loves. And I like seeing that in people, and I like being the one to like help encourage that in people, because a lot of people don't have that encouragement. It's hard to find somebody that believes in you, that you can do something that everybody else ain't doing.
That's very wholesome, bro. Very, very wholesome.
So I think he kind of hit the nail on the head. There was a episode I was watching with Elon Musk, right? I don't remember exactly what podcast it was or who he was talking to, and he was talking about that. Hey, having a good idea is easy. He goes, implementing is hard, and he was specifically talking about Tesla, right? Like, he was saying, okay, well, coming up with a good product that's going to help somebody, and it's easy, but then how do you mass produce it, right? And that's what makes Tesla so good, is because he built his own fucking factories. Like, all the other car companies have to convert their factories, and he's like, you know what, they got their thing going on. It's super hard, it's super hard to switch all that to something completely new, right? Like, if you have something going already.
He was just talking about the other day when he did his last pod with Joe Rogan that creating the Cybertruck does not even compare to manufacturing the Cybertruck.
Yes.
The manufacturing process is 100 times. He even said from anywhere between like 100 to 1,000 times harder.
Yeah.
Than just creating the prototype and designing it and stuff. Manufacturing process way harder.
He created a machine that will stamp the entire truck all together, and then he realized that the metal was so thick in the machine that it was breaking the machine, so they had to redo the machines, right? Like, so that was his point, like exactly what you're talking about. It's like, okay, well, it came up with an idea, so how do I make this now work, right? Like, It's a good idea. I know it's going to help people, but how do I put it out there? How do I scale it? How do I make this known to everyone, right? So go a little more into it. What were your first steps when you were like, okay, well, you kind of sat down and you had this bling, light bulb, right? Like, shit, this is what I need to do. So what was the first step that you took towards it?
Are you talking about the tax business, or are you just talking about my high-level strategy overall?
Well, whichever one you concentrate, you can start with like, the bottom lowest level and then go to the larger level. How you maybe how you implemented something and then you scale that towards the other things. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure, because to me, I'm always so here's what makes, in my opinion, successful people successful, because they wake up and they do the same thing over and over again every day. It's all about the repetition. Whether you're doing sports, whether you're doing business, whatever it is that you're doing, is waking up in the morning and being consistent, right? Like, the slower you travel, the further you're gonna get, right? Like, that's what it is. People that go like this, they really never get anywhere. They always either have money, they don't have money, they have money, they don't have money, and it's a nightmare. But if you go consistent, it's a slow, but it's constantly going forward, right? Like, it's never never dipping. And if he dips a little bit, because you're on this consistent slope, you're able to come back up and go even further, right? So when you implement something and it starts working, like, well, why don't I take that stuff and implement it in my other businesses? So this is what I'm talking about. What was that first step where you're like, oh shit, this works. Why don't I take this and put it here too now?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So
So let me just start by saying this. In learning investment taught me patience and discipline. So like you were saying, being patient, being willing to go slow but steady. And what do I mean by that? That means you're not rushing and you're not going so slow where you're not making progress, but you are moving at a pace that cannot be stopped. Like you are making progress. You're making some kind of progress, even if it's a little bit each day. So I took that characteristic, and then I also said, okay, what am I good at? What am I best at? Software engineering. Like I come from that. Like I have my master's in computer science, technology. I've been a senior software engineer for like 12 years now. So I'm like, how can I use that? And luckily in this day and age, I can use it everywhere. So it started out with my blog for Inner Peace Project, which is, you know, what my book is based on. I think we spoke about it a little bit in the last time I was here. I wrote a script that integrates my blog into ActiveCampaign, which is an email marketing system. And then I used Google Ads I think I did $7 a day. And I built up a little bit of an email list with Google Ads at $7 a day. And I found that I had like 5,000 impressions in the United States, but then I had 5.2 million impressions in India. And I learned it was because that's what they were searching for. And that also taught me that Google Ads is great for high intent users. So I took those concepts and I said, okay, so if I'm looking for high intent users for my business, Google Ads is the way to go. If I'm looking for high numbers but low intent, then social media is the way to go. And I could use my software engineering skills to integrate any email marketing automation system into my websites, no matter what that website is. So I literally took those same scripts and I applied it to my tax business. I applied it to my media company business to build my email list. And I will be doing the same for my publishing company for my book as well.
So let me ask you this. So this email thing is a very interesting subject for me. Why? Because with email campaigns, right? You can have 20,000 emails. Today, you can go out there and buy 20,000 emails. It's going to cost you pennies, right? But the problem is the minute you start mass blasting these emails, you go into the junk folder immediately. Like emails catch you, then you mass blasting and it goes to the junk. And
I mean, not like probably within like 5 to less than 10 years ago, you saw that literally the spam folder be made in your email, right?
Yeah.
Like they know which emails are bullshit and which ones are more likely actually catered toward something you care about.
At first, people were going about it by doing automation in a sense where they would take the name. So it wasn't just hi and then the subject, right? It would be hi John Doe or whoever it is. Then that went directly into their inbox. But then the algorithms became smart and they started reading and even that started going into junk.
Right.
So how do you bypass that where it's not going to the junk, but it's actually reaching the end user?
Yep. So you're not really bypassing it. You're following the rules that they want you to follow, which is they want you to create a form where a user can clearly read the terms and conditions, agree to the terms and conditions, opt in, and submit the form. And then they want you to use an email marketing system that validates that you have an email address that is mapped to a domain that you own and that it is a secure domain. Once you validate that, because in order to set up, I use ActiveCampaign. Like some people use like MailChimp and other like iContact. There's a bunch of autoresponders.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm. ActiveCampaign is my personal favorite. They make you do all those verification steps before they send out any emails. And after running a bunch of tests, I learned that the emails do not go to junk because it's validated.
Okay, so ActiveCampaign is what you use. So I know there are some people in the chat right now that could use this. So guys, if you have that pen and paper, write it down. ActiveCampaign and go through the steps, right? Like, so this is super important, right? If you got a business and you're trying to promote it to a bunch of new customers, ActiveCampaign might be the way to go, right? Especially if you're doing the validation, so you're not going into the junk folder, right? Because my understanding was that building these business lists, it's like a little bit of emails every day, slowly, consistently sending out, but not doing mass blasts, like 100 emails, 200 emails. That might be too much. You might want to scale it down to like maybe 10 to 20 a day. You know what I mean? But you have 20,000 emails. So how do you get over it? How do you scale from 20 to 200 to 1,000 emails a day where you're not getting, you're not getting hit.
So the thing is, like, the algorithm catches some of it if those verification steps have not been done. But another thing that adds to the algorithm is if people report it as spam. The thing is, if somebody opts into your form, it's way less likely that they're going to report your email as spam because they asked for it. And because you're giving them the option to unsubscribe, they can just unsubscribe. So they don't have to report your email as spam if they have the ability to unsubscribe. What people do is they go on the dark web and they buy 1 million emails and they write a script, and from their local desktop they blast out 1 million emails and then they get sent to spam.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it through these proper channels and you're following I think it's like the GDPR, which is like the European Consumer Privacy Protection Standards, if you're following those standards, you should be fine.
Got you.
You should be good.
Cool. So now, so to me, there's always been a thing where people don't like to read necessarily, and what they'll do, they'll either opt out or not opt out, and then they realize what they did afterwards is kind of like, well, no one reads the fine print type of deal. So how do you go around that? How do you present it in a way that people just quickly read it and understand what they're opting out for and opting out or opting into, right? How do you formulate that? Have you found a way where you can say, okay, well, this particular sentence gets their attention?
Well, we'll talk about regulation and then we'll talk about persuasion. So as far as regulation is concerned, you should always have a terms and conditions page. You should always have a privacy policy
on your
page.
website.
On your website.
Because without that, your processor you won't be able to even have a payment processor unless you have those pages.
Right, and your email marketing provider might see that, because ActiveCampaign, they ask for those links. They ask for your terms and conditions link. They ask for your privacy policy link, and they'll send a bot to scrape that up and read it. And if it doesn't match a certain pattern, they'll block you. They won't send emails for you. So you need to have those things. Also, what you want to do is another good book for this kind of stuff is Launch by Jeff Walker. By the way, Launch.
I'm gonna write that down right now.
That is probably one of the best books for launching any product or service ever written. I heard about it like through Kevin Hart. Like Kevin Hart was on a podcast or something, and I heard him talking about it, and I bought the book and read it, and I was like, wow, this book is amazing.
So 1 second, let me go. Hey guys, what I'm doing right now, I'm on Audible. So if you are into this, what I do, you don't necessarily need to do it. Marvin does it the old school way. I do it in a way where I listen to the books. Marvin actually reads the books, right? Like he found that it works for him. For me, it works when I'm listening to the books, and from each chapter, I always try to take a nugget out and write it down, because I think that solidifies in my head, because you can't remember the entire book, right? Like you need to come back to the book and reread it again after a while, because you forget. Like your short-term memory is not going to keep.
That might be that 2 times speed, Jay. Maybe you need to slow down your
Audible.
Right?
So the 2 times.
Yeah.
No, the 2
like,
times.
sounds like that one Asian dude's like, I can read 10,000 pages in a minute.
No, you said Launch.
Yeah, Launch by Jeff Walker. Launch by Jeff Walker.
See, I don't know. Recently, I listened to a book, and then now I started trying to read a book, and I feel like because of the convenience, I like the listening, but like the engagement in the material, I like reading it. Like like having a physical book in front of me.
Yeah, you could fit a lot more detail in a book than you can like in a podcast or in a video.
Absolutely.
It's actually good to do all of it. I saw something that was actually on Instagram, because now my algorithm is sending all this good stuff to me. They say like you should read, you should listen, you should talk about it, you should demonstrate it, and then you should practice it. And when you do all of those things, it really becomes solidified in your mind, and you can leverage it in the world.
Right.
So
Now you did the launch. So what would you say was probably I don't know who Space Dog is. Money War in the building.
Yo, what up, Space Dog?
Yeah, Space Dog. Thanks for joining the chat. So
ask, one of the
guys, please ask your questions, right? Like Marvin is here. Ask your questions. If you have tax questions, if you have any issues you're dealing with, please throw those questions in there so we can answer them in the chat for you, right? So
what might need to charge something though.
What would you say would be the very first book someone needs to read if they're trying to go on this journey of becoming their own boss?
Read Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. That book changed my life. That's the first book. The second book is Principles by Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio, he's an institutional investor. He's an international institutional investor.
Yeah. He's in the stock market.
You have to have
he owns a hedge fund and all kinds of big investments.
Yeah, Bridgewater Investments. You have to have at least $100 million to invest with him. He's brilliant in his principles, in the way that he runs his companies. Like, obviously he's a brilliant investor, but the reason why his company is so successful is because of the way that he runs his company, and he talks about that in Life and Work Principles. So those are the 2 books I would recommend to start with.
So what would you say was the first thing that you took from your business and said, I'm going to outsource this? Like, this is fun and whatever, but it's taking too much time for my life. What do you think was the first
things I'm not good at?
Yeah.
Logo design. Anything that ChatGPT can't do. You know, like, now that I have ChatGPT.
Talking about ChatGPT, did you see the CEO of ChatGPT is going to join Microsoft now?
Yeah, Microsoft is going to hire him and some other guy, and they're going to lead their AI research and development department.
So one of the people, basically what they did, because a board of ChatGPT only had 5 people. So this guy goes to the board, they fire one of the board members. There's only 4 board members now. And it says, okay, well, the CEO of the ChatGPT is not performing well. We need to fire him. They end up firing him. But then what happens is the company, 700 people write emails and say, we are going to quit if you don't bring him back. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. But it was too late because Microsoft's already $15 billion deep into ChatGPT, right? Microsoft said, well, we're going to hire you. You're going to run our AI campaign. What's going to happen? Those 700 people are going to join now Microsoft. And run the Microsoft. So ChatGPT was the number one. They were doing the business, and then they messed up and fired this guy, right?
That's not how it works, Arthur.
Yeah. So Arthur had a question for you. Now I don't know if he's being funny or not, but I'm sure he's being funny, but I'm sure there's an answer to it that is not funny, right? So he says, Marv, I don't want to pay taxes. Help me out.
Well, Arthur, you're not the only one that doesn't want to pay taxes. I don't want to pay taxes either. Fact of the matter is, if you make income, you have to pay taxes on that income. However, if your circumstances allow it, you could be eligible for credits. You could be eligible for deductions, and if you keep good receipts, then it is possible that you won't pay taxes. I can't promise that, though. I don't know what your circumstances are like, so it depends.
Would you say that if somebody's in a real estate game, real estate is a very, very good way to write a lot of stuff off?
Oh, I thought he was about to say money laundering.
100%. The IRS incentivizes building homes, having children, getting married, having farms. You can tell what the government wants us to do based upon the tax incentives. And real estate, providing homes for people, is the number one tax incentive that the government gives us.
So let's talk about a little bit about deductions, right? Because there are a couple of ways of deductions, and I'm sure you're going to go a little more into detail. There's the amortized deductions, right? Which I'm going to want you to explain a little more, because I think you can explain it a little bit better than I would. There's amortized deductions, right? And then there's there's one where you can, you can deduct more things in the beginning and then kind of taper it off. And there's ones where you can start slow but then go faster at the end. And there's also, specifically if you're talking about real estate, there's I forget the term, but where you hire a company that comes in and literally counts every single nail, bolt, and every single thing that's within this project that you had, and they deduct all that. So can you go a little more into it?
Yep. So you're talking about amortization and depreciation. Mm-hmm. So amortization is for liabilities. So let's say, and the most common thing that I've read about amortization is mortgage interest, right? So let's say you paid $5,000 in mortgage interest. Depending upon your situation, you may only be able to deduct a certain amount of that mortgage interest for the year. So let's say you can only deduct $1,500.
And this also includes your own home. You don't have to be necessarily a real estate investor. Your mortgage interest on your own house also counts towards your And this is specifically good for business owners. Like if you're making about $50,000, $40,000 a year, taking the standard deduction is probably it. Like you can pile up your deductions. It's still not going to come up to that. What is that? If you're a head of household, $18,000, right? They give you like standard deductions
Something
right away.
Like that. The standard deduction, typically the standard deduction is not the best way to go. Mm-hmm. The standard deduction is for, quite honestly, lazy people. Like the standard deduction is for people who don't keep good receipts, don't keep good books. If they did claim deductions, they wouldn't be able to substantiate it. So if the IRS came back and said, we're going to audit you for these deductions, they wouldn't be able to prove that those deductions are legitimate. So they take the standard deduction because the IRS is basically giving you that. Like, you can take the standard deduction, and even if you can't substantiate that amount of deductions, it's the standard deduction, so you can
It's
have
basically
it.
like a give me that IRS is giving you, right? But at the end of the day, just like you said, if you're running your own business and you have really good books, this is where that amortization and depreciation comes in. Now, can you go a little more into depth? What's the amortization? What's the depreciation? As far as kind of give a picture, like,
Yep.
dumb it down.
Yep. So amortization, I think of it as like liabilities, like things that you owe, in which you cannot deduct all of it in the same year, but you can deduct it over time. So let's say you owe $10,000 and you can deduct $2,500 of that $10,000. Now you have $7,500 left. You can deduct $2,500 every year for the next 3 or 4 years until you get to $10,000.
So it's almost like a deduction credit system.
So
Kind of.
So a good way to understand this is, for example, and this is where the catch-22 comes in, right? Let's say you have a truck that's over 6,000 pounds, right? You can take that truck and say, this is my work truck, and you can deduct the full cost of this truck over the years. And you get to choose how you want to do it. Whether you want to do it...
That's depreciation.
That's depreciation.
That's
Okay.
So depreciation is when you deduct the value of something over time. Amortization is when you deduct something that you owed, something that you paid, interest, a debt, a creditor.
Let's say like you buy a new building for your business and you can write that off over time. So
Well, that's depreciation, as you
Yeah,
said.
that's depreciation.
Oh, that
so
also goes,
depreciation. All right, think about it this way. Depreciation typically requires an appraisal. So in order to do depreciation, you have to know what your cost basis for that thing was. So I bought a building for $500,000. Okay, what's my depreciation on $500,000?
And that's 40 years. You can take that 500,000 and depreciate it throughout the 40 years, right? If it's a commercial, I think it's 40 years. If it's a regular, it's 30 years or something like that.
It depends on what it is. I think and don't quote me on this because I actually just took a test about this. I think it's 39 years for factories, warehouses, buildings, and plants, and between 20 and 30 years for duplexes, houses, like smaller buildings and stuff.
Yes, if it's a commercial building, it's a little bit more. If it's non-commercial building, it's a little bit less. But this is where that comes in. Where let's say, so here's an example of what I'm trying to say. So let's say you're buying just like you said, a $500,000 building, right? And you need only 20% is the minimum. Let's say you did the 20. Let's just stick to the 20% minimum. You took $100,000 cash out of your pocket, and then you borrowed the rest of the $400,000 to buy this building, right? So now you took this $100,000 and you're starting to depreciate this building at whatever you choose to do, right? Like whether it's 10,
That would be involved
40
with the appraisal, right? That's what
Yes.
the appraisal would
So,
decide, right?
so let's say in this building, let's say brings you on a yearly basis, let's say this building brings you $24,000, right? But since you're depreciating the building, let's say at $20,000 per year, now the money that came in, the $24,000 that came in, the depreciation of $20,000, so that you have $24,000 that you earned, but then you have $20,000 of losses because you just depreciated the building. So you take 24 minus the 20, now you have only $4,000 of liability that you need to pay taxes on. So basically that's how the depreciation kind of works, where you kind of you basically taking chunks away from the amount of money that you've earned. But you have to remember that you've invested only $100,000, right? So now you've earned $24,000 at $100,000, which is a 20% return, a little more than 20%, 24% return on your investment, but you're only paying taxes on a 4% of it versus paying on 24%.
Yeah.
And that's as long as you have that liability. Now
Yeah.
there's a caveat to that. Now let's say the debt gets canceled. Let's say the bank says, you saved my life out of a burning building, so now you don't owe $400,000 anymore. Now you have to pay taxes on that whole $400,000.
And this is, I think, gonna be really, really big because the student loans. Some people already started knocking off their student loan debt because let's say they work, because part of the student loans was if you work for a government organization or something like that after you're done with school, after 10 years, you get to write off your loan. And this is where it's come. This year was the first year. Next year is the first year when this is going to come up, right? So the question remains here.
You can deduct the interest on the loan, not the loan itself.
No. What I'm saying is the question here is when the government comes in and says, well, you've been paying diligently for 10 years. Now we're going to pardon the rest of the money that you owe us. Now, the question here is whether they're going to take the rest of the, let's say you owe $100,000, you've paid the 20, now you have 80 and they're going to pardon the 80. Does this 80 count as an income? Do you have to pay taxes on this?
No.
No.
It is tax free as long as the debt was canceled by a qualified program. If the government's doing it, it's going to be tax free.
I gotcha.
So
Unless
actually,
it's a private party.
What's
Unless it's a private party, that's when the tax kicks in when they say, okay, well, this is the actual $400,000 income that you have because we pardoned your debt. If it's a private party, like a bank.
If it's a private loan?
Yeah.
No, it's still tax free because it was for educational purposes.
No. I'm saying, let's say you bought that building and they canceled the $400,000 because it's a private party that's lending you. Then basically counted for that year you made $400,000.
Then that's income. That's income. Because now that's money that you now have that you wouldn't have otherwise
So
had.
this is when you guys need somebody that understands taxes. Because now imagine this. Let's say you bought this building. You're bringing in $24,000. Bank cancels that $400,000 loan. You're only bringing in $24,000. Now this year, you're like, bank is going to come in and say, hey, buddy, you know what? You didn't make $24,000. You made $424,000. Deal with it. And $424,000, that's damn near 30% income. That's 30% income tax. 30% on $424,000. You're looking at $170,000 in taxes.
Well, that's if you. So that situation, that's if you sell the building. If you don't actually liquidate that money, you don't pay taxes on it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
like let's say. I don't even know if this could even happen.
I was going to say, how would that work? A trade up?
Who would do that? Who would loan you money for a building that's like $500,000 and then you put down $100,000 and then they're basically gonna say, you know what, you're good on the $400,000. Like,
Well, no, that would happen. Let's say like what happened with the housing market, right? Like 2 years ago, pre-COVID, somebody bought a house for $200,000, right? Right now, after COVID, prices went up, so now house is worth $400,000. You only owe on this house maybe $100,000 left because you done paid 20 down and then you paid the rest of the 60, let's say, throughout the years, right? So now you own $100,000, but you sold the building for $400,000. Now you have a $300,000.
Yes. If you sold the building, then yes, 100%. You gotta pay taxes.
So how do you go about this? So let me see. Let me ask you this. So let's say I sold the building. I made the $300,000, right? If I take that $300,000 and immediately reinvest within the company, does that count that I made $300,000 or no?
If you immediately buy a building, if you immediately buy another piece of real estate, then no, you don't have to pay taxes on that.
So you can just roll that income over.
Yes, you can continue to reinvest your real estate gains into more real estate.
Okay. And that's a 10. What is that called? I think 1034 or something. 1034 exchange or something like that.
Something exchange.
Yeah.
I don't like. So nowadays with all the tax software, like you don't really need to know all the form names. You just need to know like what they're called. But I think it's like a 1037 exchange or something.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
some sort of an exchange. Yeah. Yeah. Which is, guys, this is like invaluable game, right? Like, guys, please subscribe, like, all that stuff. Share it with people that need this, right? Like, you know, a business owner that's doing this, share it with them, right? Like, because a lot of times what they do, they'll take their documents to a tax person, right? And the tax person does their little hey, how are you, voodoo bullshit, and then next thing you know, like, oh, this is my tax return. Next thing you know, you're in a situation like Marvin. IRS is not knocking on your fucking door and saying you owe me money. And you're like, where the fuck did this come from? Why did I pay this chump if I'm gonna like
deal with this, right?
Yeah, deal with this shit, right?
Yeah. So basically, what my strategy would be is I would ask you about your facts and your circumstances. Like, what are your facts? What are your circumstances? What are your receipts? What are your expenses? Right. Once I have all that information, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna scan through the tax code and I'm gonna look for every deduction, every credit that you could possibly qualify for, and I'm putting that into the system.
Yeah,
that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, and so what would you say is the biggest mistake people make when they're doing their taxes? Whether it's doing the TurboTax, whether it's doing the whatever other
H&R Block.
Well, no, H&R Block is a little bit different because you go into someone. a lot of times I think TurboTax has made a big business out of it. Like, what, I don't know what it is, $30, $40 a year. They do to kind of like automate the taxes for you. It's very basic for an average person. But the problem with that is, yes, it works for an average person, but it is not 100%, right? Like it's only what, 60, 70%, right? There's still a 30% that could actually benefit you more if you were to do it. So where do you see like the number one mistake that people make when they're doing their own taxes?
Yeah. So I think the number one mistake people make is they go into tax season thinking, okay, I'm going to give somebody all my information and see how much money I can get back or see if I can owe, versus I'm going to start the year with a tax strategy and I'm going to know exactly where my finances are at every given moment in time so that by the end of the year, there are no surprises.
Yeah. And guys, this what he's talking about is not very sexy, right? Nothing sexy about doing taxes. Nothing. But at the end of the year, where you have to pay, the difference is at the end of the year where you have to pay $20,000 versus $4,000.
They're doing your taxes.
Yeah. At the end of the year when you have to pay,
That's a good, business
4,000 versus 20,000, it's a hell of a difference, right? Like it's a big chunk out of your business.
They say in our lifetime, on average, 40% of our income is taxes. It's our biggest expense.
And guess who's paying the taxes? Majority of taxes are being paid by somebody that's within the $80,000 to $150,000 bracket. When they're working for a company making that kind of money, right? Those are the people, the doctors, the engineers. Those are the people that pay majority of the taxes.
And that gap is getting wider.
Yeah,
it's getting wider. It's like dipping down into like between 50 grand and like up to like 500 grand.
Yeah,
like those people pay the most.
And they just did a research, and third of the people that make $150,000, they say that they feel like they're middle class. Even though $150,000 will put you in the top 10% of United States earners, they tell you that, number one, couple of things are happening here. Prices went up, so there's more money coming out of their pocket. Number two, taxes stay the same as far as the brackets go, right? Like, because the way tax system works in the United States, they're what's called brackets. First, between $0 to $15,000, you pay, I think it's 10%. Then between 15 to whatever, the 20, whatever, you pay a little bit more, right? And it kind of compiles, right? And then at the high end where you're earning, I think, is it 400,000, you're paying it 35, them near 40% or something like that. So when that compiles, somebody that's making $500,000 working for a company, right, where they don't have their own business, where they cannot do a bunch of deductions, when they're working for a company that's $500,000, they're paying them near 30 to 35% taxes, which is average people's salary in taxes.
Right. And that's if you're a W-2 employee. Like, the good thing about being a business person is, and I'm not political, but the one good thing that I guess Trump did was the 2018 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act for corporations, right? So corporations had a high end of 34% tax rate. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act basically said, all right, all corporations have a flat tax rate of 21%. So now you have people making between, they're making six figures, between $100,000 and $500,000 a year, paying 34%, and then you got billion-dollar corporations paying 21%.
Have you looked?
Sometimes less.
Have you looked into incorporating yourself, like making a corporation out of you? Have you looked into that?
So
have you heard of that?
All of my companies are corporations.
No, I mean like you incorporate yourself, like you become a company yourself.
Why would I do that?
No, that's what I'm asking. There's some people that will do that, like they'll incorporate themselves. I didn't know if you ran into something like that or not.
I never ran into that. I was always under the impression that you should never own anything. You should control everything, though. Your businesses should own your assets, and you should control those businesses.
So talking about, can you explain the difference between a limited liability corporation, S corp, C corp? Like, what are the differences between those?
So.
Or what's the other one where you don't have a corporation, you're just
like a sole proprietor.
Sole proprietor, there you go.
So what companies do is they give you limited liability. So LLCs, C corporations, S corporations, and limited partnerships, not to be confused with general partnerships, give you limited liability. So if those entities own property, those entities can be sued for that property, but you cannot be sued for your property. So if you own a house with your family and you have a LLC and your LLC owns a factory and somebody slips and falls in your factory, they can sue you for the factory. They can sue your company for the factory, but they cannot sue you for your house.
And we're in the state of Florida, guys. So if someone sues you, this happened actually to Hulk Hogan, where they put some stuff out there in the newspaper. Local newspaper put some stuff up about him. He sued them and won $140 million against this company. Company bankrupted, and this is state of Florida. So if they're bankrupted, they don't get the money. He's not going to get it. Yeah, he won $140 million, but it doesn't mean he's going to get it, right? So the state of Florida is a perfect place to open a corporation like that. Even if they sue you for that, you don't have the money. You bankrupt that company, they ain't getting shit, right? So that's, I think, what you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, the two business entities that do not give you any limited liability is a sole proprietorship. A sole proprietorship is not even a company. You don't have
It's
to
just
file
you
for
yourself.
it. It is what you automatically are seen as if you do business in the United States and you do not file for any kind of business entity. You are automatically a sole proprietor. You get no tax benefits and you get no limited liability.
Would you say that's a mistake if people go the sole prop way?
I think it's very dangerous. I think it's very risky. You know, if you go sole proprietorship, all your assets are up for grabs, all of it, and that's just a very scary situation to be in. At the very least, like open up an LLC or open up an S corp or a C corp or something like that. Or if you want to have a partnership with somebody, like be a limited partner so that they can't come after anything more than your stake in that partnership.
Do you see any pros to sole proprietorship?
No,
No.
I don't.
So can you talk about the dangers of somebody opening an LLC or an S corp, getting a business checking account or a business credit, and then using that for personal items? How that could be dangerous? Where IRS can come after you and say, well, you kind of intermingled these finances. Now I'm going to come after you.
So unless you keep really, 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 really good records and you can say with certainty, these transactions are for business purposes and these transactions are for personal purposes, which most people don't keep good books. So it's going to be an organization issue. They're going to get audited, and then when auditors come, they're going to see that there's a lot of intermingled transactions, and they're going to say, well, you're clearly using this for personal reasons, so you don't get any of these deductions.
So can you say, let's say you have a business card and you go out to eat. Can you say, well, I went out to eat, but I took clients out, and this is what it was. I've literally, this was me entertaining clients. I mean, I guess there's a little bit of a loophole there, but you know.
Yeah. But as long as you are talking about business, as long as you do like a presentation or you do something related to your business for a couple of hours, that's fine.
Okay. So there has to be some sort of a agreement.
But even then, how would you prove that? They would ask the people?
I mean, you could take videos, you could take meeting minutes. Meeting minutes is a good way to go. You could take pictures. There's a lot of different things you can do.
So there's every year when you open a company, there's a document that you need to fill up, right? With any corporation that says that you actually sat down and talk about the business, and every partner that's within the company needs to sign for it, saying that we do talk about the business, right? Yep. Even if it's like, hey, 1 minute, how's the business going? Good. Where are we at with numbers? This and this. Okay, so everything is good. There's no problems. Good, fine. You signed the paper, so that counts. But it's super, super important, at least, to have this conversation, right? Whether it's for 10 seconds, whatever it is, you need to talk about the business.
Yep.
So it's a little harder to prove. Those are a little bit harder to prove for IRS and you. They usually don't come after that, but they come after, like, you have a regular car and you deduct the whole mileage, which you can't. You can't deduct the entire mileage. You can do only 50% of it. Or people will deduct their entire cell phone bill. They have one cell phone. They use it for their own and they use it for business. They'll deduct the whole cell phone bill. And like, well, no, the cell phone is on your name. There's not on company name. No one is saying you can't use your cell phone for company business, but you also cannot deduct the entire amount.
Right. So you have to deduct the percentage that you're using it for business. That's what you're supposed to do.
So when I used to work at Best Buy, I remember probably a handful of times I had customers come in. And it's funny because a lot of times they would pay for the product and be like, oh, well, I'm tax exempt. It's like, well, you're a little late now. But how does that work? How does someone go about with I'm assuming through their business or something, maybe because it's foreign, I don't know. How does someone become tax exempt in that manner where they can go in and instantly have that tax removed off of their purchase, whatever it may be?
Yep. Non-for-profit organizations.
Churches.
Clergymen have exemptions, like you say in churches. That's pretty much it.
Okay. And then charitable organizations, anything that where technically hospitals are for nonprofit. any hospital you see is for nonprofit, which means by the end of the year, they have to use all of the money that they have. And a lot of times, if they're running good books and records, they usually are right on the money, right? Like where they made no money at all. But at the same time, they're paying this, they're paying that, they're increasing the... This comes in like if you have employees, employee gets paid this and that. So now you're taking the tax burden off yourself, of the corporation, and you're shifting it to someone else. And this is someone else's problem now. They need to worry about. So that's how taxes, in my understanding, work, right? Like the loopholes are there for you. You just need to know them and use them, right? And an average person doesn't know about this shit, because when was the last time you actually talked about taxes? Whether it was through your high school, through your college, through your master's degree? When was it? Never. Like even if you take finance classes, you don't talk about it. Even in finance classes, they give you, okay, well, these are your assets, these are your liabilities, blah, blah, blah. I pay taxes. That becomes a liability. Let's write it off. That's my financial statement. But no one understands
the tax part about it. Yeah.
Yeah, no one understands. Because see, here's the thing about the taxes. Like if you're gonna become a tax professional, you're gonna become a CPA, and you're gonna go to school for this. If anyone has looked at the book, bro, it's the most boring book. The paper, the pages are as thick as the Bible,
like
which means they're thin as hell,
like
and you fall asleep.
pages.
Yeah, and you fall asleep reading this shit. You know what I mean?
It's a code. It's a code, and that's another reason why I was drawn to the business, because I like code. Like the syntax are the forms. Like the forms have input and output. Like the forms are like functions. Like they have outcomes for you, and the code is like the rules. These are the rules you have. As if you're playing a game. You're playing basketball. Like what are the rules of basketball? You're playing football. What are the rules of football? Like that's how the tax code is, and the rules change. They change every year. Like the tax rates change. The tax ranges change. They're changing again in 2024 to account for inflation.
Are they gonna raise the brackets? Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, they're increasing everything by about 7%, but that's because inflation went up by 7%.
Yeah, but that's bullshit. We all know that inflation went up close to some areas 30%, right?
Oh yeah, it's definitely not accounting for all of it, but they're trying to account for some of it.
Some of it,
for sure.
Yeah, and the reason they're doing this because we're in trillions of debt, right? Like they can't just right away.
No. The U.S. is in trillions of debt.
Well, U.S.
I owe
Nigga said, don't put that burden on me.
I
don't owe the U.S. $1 trillion.
I say who's $1 trillion in debt? Not me.
Yeah, but see, this is the thing. We're the people, right? Like we're part of this government. Like our taxes go to pay for the fucking roads, pay for this, pay for that. That's why, like
you said it though. I already paid my taxes. The U.S.
Yeah.
On the other hand.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like think about this: 25% of your taxes. Somebody that's making $100,000, in reality, they only made $75,000. $25,000. That's minimum wage. That's a McDonald's worker's employee's salary.
Bro,
just paid in taxes.
Bro, guess how much in taxes I paid last year?
I don't know. It's probably gonna be low if you're deducting everything.
No, from my job, my W-2 job.
Probably a lot. I don't know.
$50,000. I paid $50,000 in taxes. I know millionaires that paid nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not a millionaire, so I'm like, you know what? I need to be an entrepreneur. Like being a W-2 employee, it doesn't make sense anymore. When
when you're making
only
that,
have to pay 21%. Why am I sitting here paying up almost 40%?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, why am I doing that?
Yeah, and then so that's where the catch-22 comes in, right? Like, taxes is probably the biggest. Like a lot of people think it's the mortgage, it's the car payment. Not really. Taxes are like the biggest thing, right? And there's this radical idea. I've talked to a couple of my friends, and they're like, well, if you are getting money back, you did something wrong on your taxes. You should never really get any money back. Because what you're doing, effectively, you're giving this money to the government interest-free. Because if today you needed money from the government and you went to the government to borrow money, they would charge you interest on it. But you paying taxes, you're giving government interest-free taxes and then interest-free money. And then at the end of the year, they come back and say, well, you know what? You overpaid us by $3,000. Here's your $3,000. But in the meantime, they used your $3,000 interest-free to invest into whatever they needed to invest in, right?
That's why it's good to. I mean, first year of business is hard because one, you might not make any money, you might be in the hole. In fact, most businesses are, which is why you get $5,000.
Can you talk about how that carries over? Sorry,
what's that?
After you're done with that, can you talk about how you can carry that over to the next year?
What, startup costs?
Yeah, startup costs. But after you were done with your I didn't want. Sorry. I
Damn,
didn't
what the hell
wanna
was I
make-
saying?
fucked him up, man.
I
You
forgot
fucked
what I
him
was
up.
saying.
Yeah,
I
when
had
you
it-
first start a business, you might be in a hole.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was saying. So, like overpayment. So, it's good to try to understand how much money you're making. After like a couple years in business, you'll have a good idea what your trajectory is, how much money you made last year, and then what you want to do is you want to make estimated tax payments. So you want to take what you made last year, you want to calculate your tax rate from last year, and you want to take that percentage, and every receipt that you get, take that percentage of the receipt and put it into another account, and every quarter pay the IRS that amount, because that's your estimated tax payment to make sure that you're as close as you could possibly be to what you're going to pay in taxes without going too much over. If anything, you might be a little under. I would prefer to be a little over though.
Yeah.
I would prefer to be a little over. So if last year my business paid 21% in taxes, I would probably take 25% of every receipt and put it in a tax account and pay that every quarter, just to make sure I'm not going too much over and to account for growth, because we want to make more money every year, right? So the more money you make, the more they're going to take. So if you go a couple percentage points above what your estimated tax payment is, it's likely that you're going to get a little bit of money back.
So here's an idea. This is a little bit risky. I would not suggest somebody doing this unless you're very comfortable with your income and liabilities. What Marvin is talking about, you take a little bit of portion and you put it in that account, right? Like that account, just money sits there, right? And we all know time value of money, which means if your money is sitting there doing nothing, is not earning money, right? If you are comfortable, only if you are comfortable with this, you can take that money and let's say invest short term. I don't know, maybe government bonds.
Yeah,
right.
I was just saying that I would take that tax money and you could do a 30-day or a 60-day,
or even
days.
a 2 months. Right
Yeah.
now, 2 months is paying up to
60
5% a year.
Yep,
You know what I
you
mean?
do a 60-day U.S. Treasury bond, get your 4%, and if you're a corporation, I believe you don't have to pay taxes on that interest because you're loaning money to the government.
Yep.
So you
and
get that interest.
Well, that depends. Like if you let's say if you buy in Puerto Rico bonds, that's a triple tax free state, which means that you're not paying income, federal, none of those taxes, or local, right? But some Florida is actually one of those states where you don't have a state tax. So Florida, you still have a federal tax on the money that you earn, but you don't have a state tax, which is still kind of good, right? Like the money that you've earned. And here's the caveat though with that. With investments, you have to be super, super careful, because if you take that money out before there's been a year that elapsed, you're going to pay that as an income tax. The money that you've earned is going to be as part of your income tax.
Before it would be more proper to say before it matures.
Before it matures,
because
yeah.
the maturity date, it doesn't have to be a year. It could be 10 years. It could be 3 months. It could be 2 months, depending upon what the bond
Well,
is.
no. If you kept an investment for 1 year and you collecting the profit literally after 363 days.
Oh, you're talking.
Say
You're talking about
366
capital
days.
gains.
Yeah, capital gains.
Okay.
Then it becomes capital gains, and then the maximum you'll pay in capital gains is 20% versus maximum of paying at 35%, right? Like, so that's the little caveat about that. But at the end of the day, so let's say you took the money, right? You put it to the side. That money made some money, and then the money amount that you made extra, you'll pay a little bit of taxes on that. But remember, that money just kind of fell out of thin air, right? So you didn't have to earn that money. You just kind of is the passive income people talking about, right? Now you can take all that money and say, okay, well, not only I put a little bit above what I was supposed to put away, but this money also made me more money. So now I have an extra in that account. So I can take this amount and keep the rest in those investments, continue to earn money on a monthly basis,
Yeah.
and have that little account running an investment account. But now, again, guys, this is a strategy where you might want to have a CFO in a company, right? That's going to run that stuff for you, right? Like, because you don't want to worry about, hey, where's the stock market? What am I buying? What am I doing? When you're concentrating on your business, and like you got like marketing campaigns you have to do, you got to make sure the videos are coming out. You got to make sure this is happening. You got to make sure you're scaling. You're talking to the right people, and then worrying about the fucking taxes. It's a fucking nightmare. Right? So this is where it comes in when he was talking about hiring a fucking team.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I want to be vertically integrated with all the major pieces of my business. Taxes, if I'm going to pay 40% of taxes, I look at taxes as revenue. That's 40% of my revenue. So
Yeah.
I think it's imperative to have a good tax strategy, and I'm taking it a step further by having my own tax company that's going to take care of my taxes for all of my businesses and my people's businesses as well.
Now, can you talk about a little bit more? Have you run into land trusts? Have you dabbled in that a little bit?
I read about it. A couple books have touched on it. I don't know too much about it to really speak on it, But one thing that I gather is that it does not have as many benefits as people say it does. Did you want to like say something about land trust?
No, I don't know much about the land trust. I know that a lot of people will put their house into a land trust, which means if this house is going to be transferred over to the next generation, it's literally that's what it is. If you know that this house you're not gonna sell it, you're most likely gonna end up renting. But again, you have to take this with a grain of salt, right? Like I think the average years in the United States when somebody owns a house, I think it's like 7 to 10 years. After 7 to 10 years, people sell the house and buy a new one. But if you know you're gonna keep this house forever, then you put it in a land trust, and then this goes to your heirs, right? Like to your children. And what they do, they get the house at the stepped up cost basis, which means that if you bought the house at 150 into the land trust, and then they take over the land trust, and now the house costs $600,000. They're actually taking that house value at 600, and they're not looking at that 150 that you originally did. So you have a $450,000 discrepancy that your kids don't need to worry about paying taxes on, right? So that doesn't become like an earnings for them. But if you take your house and you give it to your children as a inheritance, right? The minute children take this house as an inheritance, that's when the tax starts happening. Another good thing is, so let's say you bought a house, right? And your house has appreciated in value. As an individual, single individual, you can take $250,000 of appreciation. Everything above $250,000. So let's say you bought the house at $150,000 and now it costs $400,000. That's your $250,000. You don't have to worry about paying taxes on that. But if your house costs $500,000 and you sold that house, you deduct the $250,000. Now you have $100,000 of liability that you need to worry about.
I think that range is higher if you're married as well.
Yes, if you're married, that's $500K.
I think it's like double, yeah.
Yeah, it's $500K if you're married.
Oh yeah, that was the thing I read about land trust. Somebody was trying to say that, like, if you have a land trust, that you're anonymous, like behind the land trust. But that's not actually true. Like, they can find out who you are.
They are,
like,
yes.
Like, they can easily find out who you are. Like, if you do anything sketchy, or if the government really wants to figure it out, like, they can subpoena whatever they need to subpoena, and they can uncover that.
So for government, you're not anonymous for the government, but you are anonymous for someone that's trying to come after you, sue you for whatever, right? Because the house is in a land trust. So let's say you got in an accident, right? And they got an aggressive lawyer, right? And they're not going to go into mediation and settle out, right? Through insurance. So if the house is in a land trust, they cannot touch it because that's its own entity,
Yeah,
right? The trust is its own entity.
And if you have a tax liability, if you have back taxes, the IRS can pierce any veil they want to pierce.
Yes. So IRS is not somebody you want to fuck with, right? Like,
No.
that's the bottom line. You can mess with, yeah. When government is coming after you, no rules apply, right? Like, it doesn't matter. No rules are going to be applicable to that. But if you are, putting your house in a land trust and it goes to your heirs, that's where the benefits of the land trust comes in. But you really have to be a very high net individual to worry about this stuff. Mm-hmm. Like an average person could do this as well. You know what I mean? If they know they're going to leave the house for their children and they're going to keep the house, right? In my opinion, if you're going to switch houses, if you can, keep that house, rent it out, make a little bit of passive income off of that, buy a second house versus just selling this and buying the other one, right? Especially in an environment that we are right now where interest rates are so high. If you sell your house and get something bigger, you're gonna have to pay high interest rates, which no one wants to do, right? Like, an average house that would cost you a couple of years ago was $2,000 for a mortgage. Same house is gonna cost you $3,500 right now because of the interest rates.
It's more expensive to buy than rent at this moment. I think I read some numbers. This was from 2 months ago. So
yeah, no, you're right. You're right. It is. People are taking a loss right now.
Yeah, the average rent in the United States across the whole country is about $1,900, and the average mortgage is about $2,850. So it's like $1,000 more expensive right now to buy than rent. And everybody that I know who just bought cookies. We got some cookies.
Yeah, Ozzy. Miggy's not doping. It's just that, young testosterone through the roof. He's producing that coffee mug of testosterone versus a teaspoon like us old people. You know what I mean? Hey, Miggy, are you doping? There's a question. Are you doping? You looking swole.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
My mom
You should have seen a smile on his face when I said you look swole.
No, it's funny because my mom, she told me, son, you're looking very skinny. And I looked at her, I was like, is that good or bad? Because you're giving me a really bad face right now. You're looking me up and down like I'm sick. And I'm like, well, you were sick.
I think moms don't want us to be sexy because there's something about like, you know, you're my little man or something. I don't want no woman taking
dude.
you.
I was like, man, at least the workout's working.
If you look attractive, some woman's gonna come scoop you up, and I don't want you to be sexy. I want you to be fat. Like, here, keep eating, keep eating.
What
like,
it is.
No, it's not that, because I think
Mama Boucher style shit. She's the devil.
yeah. So I think there's a little bit of truth in that, but there's also another thing. Your moms want, you know, majority of the time, your moms want the best for you. So like when they see another girl that's coming in, and they're always gonna point out the flaws that this girl has, right? Because they want the best for you, right? Like, you got to remember, as a guy, the only person.
You want to know what I think is better though? The mom, like my mom, the moms who kind of like downplay their sons, is like, you better be careful, you're gonna lose that girl. Like, because I feel like that's even. Because you kind of insisting that they're too much and they're too good for them. You kind of doing the opposite will make them work harder.
Yeah, but I think what happens in a lot of times, I think moms sometimes give dog shit advice to their sons, right? Sometimes they give dog shit advice. The reason I say that is because the only person that's going to think you're perfect and you're like the best thing since sliced bread is your mom, right? But in reality, like, you know, I don't want to take the conversation this route, but in reality, as a guy, you kind of have to perform. You gotta have to hustle, whether it's fucking opening the tax company, whether it's coding, whether it's doing something else. Like, you gotta have to prove to the world that you're worth it, right? You don't have to prove to your mom you're worth it, because she done produced a whole lot of oxytocin when you were born, right? Like, so she's, you know, she has that motherly love for you, right? Like, but you know, sometimes boys might not need to listen to their moms. You know, this is a radical idea here.
I don't know, but it reminds me of like we were talking about the other day, how we were saying like, most guy friends are a little more towards the opposite of girlfriends, where it's like, if I go to talk to one of my boys about something, they're kind of the same way. Like, yo, be careful. Like, you have a good girl. Like, don't be an asshole. Maybe you should better yourself. This and that. Where like
you come home, your mom. What do you mean she didn't cover you when you were asleep? You know what I mean?
She didn't have coffee ready for you in the morning.
By the way, talking about moms, hi Luma, and talking about Aussie. No, I did not do that. I failed. I'm sorry, Ozzy. I'm going to give a public apology to you. I failed to do that. Marvin, you're invited to church every Sunday. And you know what church is?
What church?
Jitsu? We put our gis on and we smash each other. That's what it is. It's every Sunday we go to
What time?
We usually start at 9:30. It's a good time to start. Felix teaches the class. And after that, we get some rolls in, you know, just sweat a little bit. And then later down the road, bring your swim trunks. We jump in the pool.
Yeah, we usually get in the pool afterwards, you know, to refresh and stuff.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And it's a good way to bond with your friends, you know what I mean?
Yeah, hell yeah.
I have a blast every time I will.
Yeah.
I didn't go this...
And the group has grown. We're probably, active, at the very least, active 5 to 10 people on every Sunday.
You guys got to reteach me how to hip escape.
I mean, get out of here, bro. You don't need a hip escape if you smash it from the top.
If you just bench him off of you, what do you need a hip escape for?
Bro, Marvin is one of the fucking hardest people to roll with, but I can tell you for a fact, if you suck at something, roll with fucking Marvin, because he's gonna destroy you every fucking time. But you're gonna be so much better after rolling with him. When you roll with other people, they're like, well, what the fuck is this? These fucking chums don't know what the fuck they're doing. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Like you take a shot in absinthe, and you're like, have a beer, and it's like, what's this pussy shit?
You're like, get off me, you ain't Marvin.
Yeah, I have a controversial opinion. So there was we all went to a competition. I was supposed to participate in a competition. I fucked up my shoulder for preparation, but Marvin was rolling. He's still a brown belt. He was rolling with a brown belt. This guy was damn near a black belt, right? Like he was rolling with. And Marvin did what he does, right? Like, he's very consistent. Smash, right? You know, he did that, you know, Dagestan style smash, you know what I mean? And he ended up winning by like fucking 90 million points versus 0, you know what I mean? Like, he literally smashed the shit out of this kid. And then when they posted that video of him winning, and somebody commented, "Oh, that is a smash," you know? I'm reading these comments. I was like, well, fuck you, dickhead. He won, didn't he? Does it matter how the fuck he won? Did he break the rules? Did he do something illegal? No, he fucking won, right?
When I take people down, I gently lift them up and I gently put them down.
Yeah, so they don't hurt themselves, and then he smashes them.
I care a lot about my opponent. I don't want my opponent to get hurt. I want my opponent to know that I controlled you the entire time and you walked off the mat unscathed.
I could have.
unscathed.
Oh, I thought he was about to say something along the line.
No,
I
they-
want my
they-
opponent to know that I can beat them
No.
over and over.
No. So they are physically unscathed, but mentally is a different
Yeah,
story.
that's a whole
nother can of worms right
And we
there.
can see a glimpse into Miggy's mentality here.
Yeah, yeah. No, we've been doing the church, and Ozzy's about to get the keys to the new gym.
Nice.
Because he's opening the UFC gym. It's,
Nice.
it's coming to fruition. 6 to 8 months, I think, Ozzy, right? So we've been building the team, like the core base of the people that are gonna start going to the gym, and it's probably gonna be. Hey, listen, guys. It's going to be the most competitive jiu-jitsu school in this entire area. Not only by the amount of talent that's going to be there, but also by money value proposition, right? There's no school out there, I can guarantee you this right now, no school out there that you will go to and you will see prices like that. Number one, you might get talent, yes. I'm not going to speak to that, but what I can speak to as far as money value proposition is going to be the best fucking school you can possibly imagine, because it's going to have the striking, it's going to have the jiu-jitsu, it's going to have the wrestling, it's going to have the simple workouts. Let's say you're feeling a little bit not it
think
today,
he's even
you
doing
rolled,
yoga.
you did some floor rolling. Yeah, there's going to be yoga, there's going to be Pilates, there's going to be all kinds of shit. You didn't, you just floor rolled and you still feel like you got a little bit of energy. You hit those fucking machines, you do your pull-ups, you do your bench presses and things like that, right? So that's coming up
I can't
very,
wait.
very
I'm
soon.
So excited for the
Yeah.
UFC gym. It's gonna be a blast.
Yeah, so here you go. He just posted it on there. $129 a month. I can guarantee you. Go out there right now. Look to see if you can find a $129 a month gym. People in the gyms locally, you can pay for the entire year.
They're gonna have modalities too.
Yep, they're gonna have the cryo and all of that stuff.
Ooh, locker, showers, cold tubs.
Yep.
Hell
And then
yeah.
I can.
Oh, he's bringing the cryo machine there too.
Yep.
Oh boy.
All of it. All of it.
Oh boy.
And even at the schools you go to and pay for the entire year, it still doesn't come close to $129, and you got to shell out in thousands to pay for the entire year.
Ozzy, let's open up a location in Arizona. I got you on a 50% investment. That's literally one of the things I want to do in Arizona. I want to get into commercial real estate. I don't really care about residential real estate right now until like interest rates go down. But commercial real estate's on sale right now. Like, let's be honest, it's on sale.
It is.
What I want to do is I want to get a warehouse and I want to open up a gym. I want to do grappling gym, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. I want to have kid wrestling programs, female jiu-jitsu, female wrestling, for like after school programs and stuff like that. I want to coach, teach, but I also want to run the business and attract talent.
Yeah, we just went
one
to
of the-
California for that. We're there for 3 days with the UFC gym.
Yeah.
We sat there through the entire process. It's pretty legit.
From what I've heard, that's one of the biggest foundations for gyms is the kid classes.
Yeah, and he's bringing hella talent, bro, from California. Brian Dyer is moving down. The guy that created the
Trident
Cryo. There's another guy that's moving down that runs the
let's go,
program
Ozzy,
at
let's do
Victory MMA. If anyone knows anything about UFC fighting or anything about jiu-jitsu, Victory MMA is probably one of the number one schools in the entire United States. He's bringing in 2 talents from there. What's his name? The part owner of the Victory MMA is going to come down here as well. We're talking about a bunch of UFC fighters. They're going to come down here for the grand opening day. So there's going to be hella
I think I know
connections
which
that are
fighter
made.
it is, but I don't want to say it. I don't
Is
wanna
it
ruin
Amanda
his-
Nunes?
I'm not gonna ruin his surprise.
Oh,
you know?
yeah,
I don't wanna.
Yeah, we're talking about current and past fighters, past goats.
Well,
that
there's
are
a
gonna
goat.
come down.
There's gonna be a goat there.
Yeah.
Are we gonna see the JV Amanda Nunes fight?
Let's set that up,
finally?
Ozzy. We should have it on the grand opening. We can have Amanda Nunes come in and beat the fuck out of Jay.
It ain't happening, boys. Sorry, you ain't gonna be.
I got $50.
Make sure Jay's wearing his mouthpiece.
$50 on Amanda and a head guard and everything. He's gonna need everything.
Nah, Jay ain't gonna need none of that stuff.
What would be your go-to move? What do you do?
On Amanda?
Yeah.
I'll kiss her on the cheek.
Oh,
I do
You'd
it.
have to get
I do it
close
Aussie
enough.
style. I hug her from the back.
Oh,
and go,
there you go.
tickle, tickle.
Ozzy let the surprise go. BJ Penn is gonna be there.
BJ
for
Penn
him.
is coming
That's what's
down.
up,
Yeah.
yo. He's a wrestler.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be fun. UFC gym. I got some funny stuff. You guys want to hear some shit that happened on the Howard Franklin Bridge? This was like a week ago.
Damn.
So this guy and his partner, I don't know if it was him and his girl. They're driving down Howard Franklin, and they see some dude pulled over on the road, dazed off in his car. They pull over, see what's going on. And they pull over in front of him, of course. And dude wakes up, freaks out, drives into their car.
Oh, shit.
Damn.
This is half the story. Drives into their car. A third car gets involved. Dude pulls over and is like, what the fuck's going on? Drags the slump dude out of his car and stabs him.
What?
Wow.
This happened on Howard Franklin.
Florida man.
Damn.
That's literally the first thing I thought. Goddamn Florida man.
Florida man strikes again.
The Florida man strikes again.
Yo.
Literally. Can you believe some shit like that? Like, why did he have to stab him? What came to fruition that he had to stab him?
That's why you mind your own business. See,
This is why you mind your own
this
business.
is
You're
my-
absolutely right.
So I'm originally from New York. I'm from a place where people mind their own damn business. In
Yeah.
Florida,
They do.
People
In New
are
York, they might be
so-
rude, but they mind their fucking
in
business.
Florida, people are so nosy, especially for a state where it's like mad people got guns like on their person.
Yeah.
People do not know how to mind their own damn business. If you see somebody slumped out on the side of the road, keep it pushing, keep it moving. Because guess what? That person's probably not in the right state of mind.
I had
Because
that one
ain't
time.
nobody around here in the right state of mind.
I had that one time where I was in the South Side doing work when I was working construction, and drive by some black dude on the side of the road. Not on the side of the road, sorry. On the right lane, just straight up, like horizontal like that, passed out face first into concrete.
Damn. Damn.
I'm a nose bitch, I guess, because I put my window. I'm like, hey man, you good? Like, you need me to call the police? Lifts his head up. Fuck you, bitch ass. So I'm like, all right, we're good. Let's keep going.
Bro,
I shouldn't have asked.
Bro, I'll never forget last year. No, it was 2 years ago. My office is like on the second floor of my townhouse. I live in a townhouse where I'm split between me and my neighbor. And I could see the front yard. I could see my car. I could see the driveway. I could see the grass. I open my blinds. It's early in the morning. I'm like working on my computer. There's a dude laying on my grass on his
Oh,
on his
I've heard
stomach,
this story.
face down. I went up to my window. I took a picture, sent it to my friends, and then I closed my blinds. Like, I don't want to have anything to do with that. I don't want to get involved. Like,
No call to the police or nothing.
no,
You're just like, you can have your
no.
nap, dude.
Yeah, keep like get your nap.
Get
Get
the
your
fuck
rest.
on.
Like, adults need to take naps. I take naps almost every day. Like,
You didn't want to ruin his nap. I get
right,
it.
right.
I get
Adults need their nap too.
Apparently, people who take naps are smarter than the average.
Hey, Miggy, can you go on the
'cause we
Discord and
get
pull up that
rest.
picture I just posted?
it. What is this?
All right, guys. So
This is schematics?
This is the schematics
Oh,
of the
yeah,
gym.
baby.
So here I'm gonna explain from right to left,
Yo,
right?
this is proprietary information. You can't be showing this on a
He
podcast.
said we can show this?
Ozzy just sent that to me directly.
I'm
So
not showing it on the podcast right now.
Don't show it just yet. We'll see if
so
Ozzy says
so
it's
this is what the gym is gonna kind of look
I'm
like
gonna take a screenshot and copy
from
the
right
business.
to left. From right to left, this is where the machines are. From right,
It's gonna have a
right?
decent sized machine section,
Yes.
man. Wow.
and then you move on in the middle and the bottom. That's gonna be the where people, the welcome meet and greet
Yeah.
type of stuff, right?
Is that an octagon?
Yes,
this is an
there's going to be a
octagon
full
over
here.
octagon in
Sweat.
there. Lockers in the back. There's going to be a room for yoga and BJJ in the back, in the very, very back.
Oh, right
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then they're going to have, this is going to be the kickboxing area. This is where you're going to have all the bags and everything set up, right? And then the back on the top, that's the outside in the back on the open air. You're going to have a bunch of items in the open air. That's 25,000 square feet
Damn.
of equipment and things.
That's dope.
Yeah, so it's gonna be huge.
So quiz. What's the depreciation on this building for Ozzy for the first 4 years?
Well, I think he's renting, so I think the depreciation is gonna be the interest. I think it's gonna be the monthly.
Yeah, he's just gonna deduct the rent.
deduct the rent.
And he's got outdoors 5,000 square feet as well.
Now, if he owns the equipment inside,
Yes.
he can depreciate the equipment.
And I think I'm sure that's what he's gonna be doing.
The
Yeah, he does own
lines
the
is
equipment.
BJJ, so right here. This is going to be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu right
Yep.
here, this area.
Yep, the lines is BJJ. And then, as I said, there's below that is where the bags are gonna be for kickboxing and boxing.
Yeah, you can see they have them lined up right
Yeah,
here.
along the wall. That area, I think that's all the cryo area stuff right there. That's all gonna be the cryo
Yeah, this
stuff.
looks like it's going to be modalities.
Yeah, that's
Oh, no,
gonna-
this is Kids Club.
Kids Club, okay.
Kids
That's
Club.
super cool.
Modalities will probably be in the back here.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's up.
Yeah, so as you see, guys, those are running tracks in the middle, like the stationary machines and the row machines and things like that.
Okay, gotcha.
Then there's gonna be indoor, where you push the weights.
Yeah, you can see them right here.
Yeah.
This is the
And-
track for that.
track for that. And then as you can see, there's gonna be more stuff on the back. So this gym is gonna be legit 25,000 square feet inside and 5,000 square feet outside. Go to the outside part. Yeah, so the outside part is gonna be again, bunch
like
of
you have
open
another
area.
track
Yep,
for
another
running.
track. Mm-hmm.
And doing
Yep.
like sprints and stuff.
Yeah, so it's gonna be
more
a hella,
it looks
hella
like
nice
more
place.
bags outside as well.
I don't know when you live into Arizona, but he's thinking about May of 2024.
Oh, yeah, I'll be around.
Okay, perfect.
Perfect.
Hell
So
yeah,
perfect.
I'm gonna check it out.
Because if anything, we need talent there. We need people with different backgrounds. Because Marvin has done what you've done the kickboxing, right, for like four or 5 years.
Yeah, kickboxing, Muay Thai, boxing, obviously wrestling, jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
Let me tell you guys a story. What does it say?
This at least with a kitchen too, an armbar cafe.
There we go.
Nice.
There we go. So you're gonna have your protein shakes and maybe like a protein meal you can order right there on the spot to get you full right after workout. So yeah, it's gonna be legit.
It's like a
Let-
LA Fitness.
I'm gonna tell you a story. So there was one time, myself and Marvin, we went out. Right, we're all hanging out in a bar, and we met one of my ex-coworkers, and she invited one of her boyfriends or whatever, a guy that was
think I've heard
smashing
this
her,
story.
right? Like
Oh,
the guy
that
that was
dude.
smashing her.
I think I remember this story.
So this guy comes up to Marvin, and he had maybe a couple of drinks, and he starts like fucking hugging Marvin. Marvin's like, bro, I don't know you, like, continue, please.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm the type of person where it's like, if we're cool, you want to give me a hug, you want to play around, that's cool. But if I don't know you, don't touch me. I think that's pretty standard. Like, I don't think I'm crazy for that. Like, I don't think most people like don't mind if a random person comes up to them and just like pretty much wraps their whole arms and body around them.
No, man, we're too.
Even when someone's first like that, if they're like in that first sentence and they decide to like grab your shoulder, it's like, bro,
It's like, what are you
I
doing?
just met you, man. Don't fucking touch
yeah,
me.
it's like, why are you touching me? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're too tribal. You can talk shit about evolution all you want, but we're too tribal. Back in the day, you only had 30 people in your fucking tribe, and 15 of them were old, and 15 of them were young. You better not fuck up. Somebody else that you don't know comes up and touches you. There's probably a fucking fight going on between two tribes. And I think that's what it is. It's our lizard brain telling, like, I don't fucking know you.
Right.
The whole idea of shaking hand is the whole idea of a shaking hand was created is when you give somebody your hand,
You ask
you
for
show them
permission.
that you don't have a fucking weapon in your hand and you're not being threatened.
Yeah, you're
Like,
asking for permission.
yeah. So and this guy comes up,
your
starts
story,
fucking
right,
hugging
okay.
him.
Our bad.
Yeah, he starts hugging him, right? And Marvin's like, at one point, Marvin, like after the third fucking time trying to hug him, Marvin's like, bro, don't fucking touch me. You know what I mean? And he flips out, and this girl starts fucking yelling, like fucking Marvin did something crazy. You know what I mean? And then this kid was tall, right? Like he was about 6'4",
Yeah.
but a
Yeah, the
fat
holiday
slob.
But he was
He was a fat
he
slob,
was
Cheeto eating, game playing fat slob.
He was goofy, like bad posture, like
Yeah.
not muscular, like not strong. Like when he put his arms around me, I felt his weakness. I was just like, bro, you're so
White belts put more pressure on Marvin than that
I'm
guy.
just like, you're so weak. Like, I would go to jail if I did what I want to do to you. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this guy and this girl starts fucking screaming, and then later after the whole thing we're like, all right, Marvin, we gotta go. You don't need none of this shit, like, cause I know you're gonna fucking smash him, and then we're in fucking trouble because you're gonna fucking snatch his soul.
Then Jay's giving a report to police.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be giving a report. I'd be probably like, didn't I tell you don't do anything, and just smack him like this over the face? Didn't I tell you don't fuck up?
the thing is, I'm patient. Like he literally like tried to like put his arms around me like multiple times, like 3 times, like maybe 4 times. Like
What?
it was a bunch
Yeah.
of times. The first time I was like, yo, don't touch me. Second time I was like, yo, do not touch me. The third time I flipped out. I was
Yeah.
like, don't fucking touch me. Because it's like, bro, how many times do I have to
Yeah,
tell you
you
not
got-
to touch
yeah,
me?
you already told
I
me.
am
And this-
another grown ass man like that you don't know, and you're not like, what gives you the authority to
Was he
touch
drunk?
me? Yes,
He was drunk, but
Man,
it doesn't
you know
matter.
how- you know
It
how
doesn't
people
matter
get,
when
man, all
Marvin
touchy and
came.
shit.
When Marvin
Yeah.
became a little bit
Aggravated.
aggravated, the guy knew that it's like, hey, bro, I better step back. But
Mm-hmm.
this girl, bro, wouldn't shut the fuck up and creating a scene, right? The next day I met her, I was like, bro, like, you act like an idiot. You shouldn't be acting like, you don't understand. He's so big. I was like, stop right there. I was like, stop right there. Like, I don't want to go into details, but Marvin would have snatched his soul, ripped his head off, and shoved it in his ass. And I'm not saying this And I'm not saying this because I like Marvin more or you or the other guy. Like, this is literally what would have happened.
Right.
This is reality. You know what I mean?
I'm not gonna lie, I love seeing those street fights, like people who train martial arts and people who don't, and the people just get smashed. It's great.
Yeah, but see, the problem with that is, and I think Jocko was talking about this, is like anytime there's a fight of some sort and you know how to, like, because you don't have that you don't have that fight or flight. You're not shaking. The adrenaline is not pumping anymore. I mean? Yeah, like, the adrenaline is not pumping because you're so used to it. You know, this becomes normal for you, right? And what's going to happen? You're going to be composed, controlled.
You still have that adrenaline, right? It's just you know how to control.
You do. Like, for example, like anytime, like for example, if you're walking around, even if someone that knows martial arts, like if someone tries one of your people, you still light up.
Yeah. You do.
You still light up.
Yeah, like you go from not thinking about scenarios on what you would do to that person to thinking about scenarios on what you would do to that person. Like,
and it comes automatic. It becomes automatic.
Like, I'm sitting next to you two right now. I am not thinking about scenarios on like what I would do to y'all, like take you, throw your head on. Like, I'm not thinking about that. You know what I'm saying? Like as I'm thinking about it. Yeah, right? But with him, I went from not thinking about that shit to like, damn, I could take his head, I could slam him into the bar, I could grab him by the neck and take him down, I could just take him down, like I could grab his shirt and fucking slam him into the. I was thinking of all types of shit.
And then the problem is, if he do that, right? If he slams his head against the bar, he fucking hits his temple, he's dead.
Right.
Falls on his back, he's either dead or breaks the fucking spinal column. Smashes him on the ground, he's gonna need a reconstructive fucking surgery on his face. You know what I mean? Like, so many things that could go fucking wrong. And when you start doing martial arts, you fucking, like, you come up with these scenarios and then like, wait a minute, let me fucking just come down for a minute.
Yeah, let me just walk away.
Because it's not worth it.
That part of the scenario becomes so much more clear. Where it's like, you know that when shit goes down, it could end very, very badly.
Because I know exactly what I'm doing.
And that happened to me. That happened actually to me yesterday. I was driving, so there are 2 lanes and there was the 3rd lane. But I knew that 3rd lane ends. And this fucking car was trying to cut me off. And of course, me being me, I'm like, bitch, you're not cutting me off. So I'm kind of like egging this motherfucker on, right? So he ends up cutting and then speeds up. I was like, you cocksucker. I pull up next to him. I lower my window. He lowers lower. Fuck you. I was like, bitch, I will snatch your motherfucking soul. Pull over. Hilarious. Pull over. I'm fucking yelling at him. And then at one point, I saw it in his eyes where it's like, oh, shit. Like, I'm not just saying to say, like, I saw it in his eyes. It was like, oh, like, this guy's not fucking around. He literally, like, slows down, pulls over, and fucking takes a different turn as I'm going straight. You know, because I was gonna have him pull over to the fucking right.
Maybe he pulled over, bro. There. Maybe he pulled over and was waiting on your ass.
He didn't. He went to the left, bro. He went to the left. He was not pulling over.
Wild.
Yeah, and at that point,
this is Florida. This is not the state to be doing shit like that in.
Bro, listen to this. The other day, it was yesterday or 2 days ago. We go to IHOP, right? Emily was craving breakfast food, and it was like 4 in the afternoon or whatever. And me, Rodolfo, Emily, and Bailey go to IHOP, and this older white couple sits right in the booth right behind us, behind Rodolfo and Bailey. And Rodolfo's telling a story about his job. And this old ass white lady, probably 80 years old, turns around and goes, mind your mouth around me. Or something like that. Like, watch your language or something like that. Bro, I thought about it. I was like, you fucking crazy lady? You know how easy people snap? You can't just fucking, like, go and tell someone how they're going to talk in the middle of a restaurant, right? Like, in my head, I was like, bro, you're just lucky Rodolfo's not crazy. You snatch your fucking
That's what
soul.
I was going to say, yeah.
Right? Or at least would have started screaming. Rodolfo's a nice, really nice guy. Yeah. So he was literally, it was actually like, okay, ma'am. Right? I would have at least been like, bitch, you're not going to tell me how the fuck I'm going to talk. Yeah. Probably. I can't handle people.
Because there's a lot of dudes out there, you know, they're frustrated with life. They're not making it. They can't get a fucking date. They're frustrated in general with life. And you say some fucking fuck shit, especially as a girl. You know what I mean? These guys are ready to just like snap on you. But yeah, Marvin, you brought something over.
Funny part was
this is a good segue. Go ahead.
We got up. No, last part. It's just we got up and I noticed when we're leaving, paying our bill at the front, I see the dude just like this. And I'm like, I know he's super pissed at this
lady
not the
opening. First time, huh?
Yeah, probably not the first time. No, he's super pissed that this bitch decided to open up her mouth. Like, it was hilarious. And apparently Rodolfo told me they were arguing when they came in. I guess the girl just had a grouchy day.
But yeah, go ahead. Talk about this a little bit. What you got in your hand?
I mean, we're talking about all this stuff, all this frustration, all this stress. And this takes me into my next segue. So for the past 2 years, I have been writing a book. I started a blog not too long ago, Inner Peace Project, and my thought process was, you know, I finally found inner peace in my life. I've released all my trauma. I found ways to regulate myself when I'm experiencing stress. You know, I meditate. You know, I have my own rituals in the morning to decompress and at night to decompress. And I have certain mindsets about me that allow me to look at the world differently with far less anger, far less frustration. Like, yes, there are times I get frustrated, but if that situation were to happen today with the kid or whatever, I probably would have handled it a lot differently. Now that I've been through what I've been through. So I wrote this book. You could zoom into this book right here. So this is the first copy of The Art of Inner Peace by Marvin Titus Cassius. Basically,
motherfucker even got a gladiator name, bro. How cool is that?
You do have a gladiator name.
So The Art of Inner Peace, basically, this is the culmination of all my research over the past 2 years in how to find inner peace within yourself. Like, my theory is that without inner peace, you can't really achieve anything great. Like, without inner peace, you can't maintain good relationships. Without inner peace, you can't maintain a healthy body, a healthy mind, a healthy spirit. So the first thing you have to do in life, if you don't know what to do, is to get inner peace. And once you get inner peace, the rest will become clear to you. I think that this falls into a lot of what we're talking about, like the road rage, you know, the frustration, you know, people fucking with me at the bar. Like, if everybody had inner peace, these situations probably wouldn't even happen, you know? And it takes me back to, like, when I was young. I used to, this was before I had my license.
Young, dumb, full of cum, huh?
Ha! You're nasty.
You're nasty.
Anyway.
You know, I had to be the guy that said it.
I hope, edit that out. Anyway. My cousin used to drive me around sometimes, and people would cut him off, like, really abruptly in New York. And he wouldn't flinch. Like, he wouldn't hesitate. Like, he wouldn't seem angry. Like, I would be the one like, what the fuck? Like, why did he do that? And he's just like, whatever. And I always wondered, like, why was he like that? Like, why did he do that? And I don't know if he has inner peace or not, but I reflected on that, like, while writing this book. I'm like, really, like how we react to situations is going to determine how we feel. Like, we are in control of our emotions. Like, we are in control of our mental state. Like, we could have bombs going off around us and we could walk through the explosions with a straight face and a calm heart if we're able to control ourselves in a certain way, if we're able to release all of the stress and release all of the tension pretty much at a moment's notice. So that's what this book is about. It's the art of it. Like, and it's an art, right? So it's like a painting. Like, if me, you, and you painted a picture of a dog or something, each picture would look different, but it would still be a dog. So we all have our form of inner peace. These are just some general guidelines on how to obtain it. Like, these are just some starting points. And, like, I go through a lot of different topics, like from, like, handling your shadow self, which I want to talk about because I feel like we've been talking about our shadow self. I talk about God a little bit, but not in the religious perspective, more of like a spiritual, like non-dogmatic perspective. So yeah, that's my book.
It's I flipped through the pages. It's pretty big font, easy to read.
Yeah.
Hey guys, if anything, when is this coming out? Because I know you said you had it set up, but when is this coming out? When is the launch?
So November 24th is the official launch of the ebook. So I'm on Google Books, Kindle, and I have print through my online store. The website is bytheartofinnerpeace.com. Currently, right now, it's behind a password. I will unlock it on the 24th. But that's when it's coming out, and I got it in print. So all formats, guys, all countries.
Text me so
can't
we
wait
can blast it
yeah,
on
I was
the
about to say,
channel.
can't wait to see that come out, man. Support your stuff.
100%. Yeah, Ozzy, I got you on a signed copy.
So, I want it signed.
so let's talk about the shadow self real quick. I believe that we all have a light self and a shadow self. So anytime we walk into a room, anytime we see a situation, there is a part of us that's thinking of like some crazy evil scenario or some crazy bad scenario. Like, if I could do whatever I want.
Yeah, you're always talking to yourself, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, if I could do whatever I want, I would. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would do some crazy shit. But then there's a part of ourselves that stops us from doing that and is like, no, we can't do that. Like, either we're going to get in trouble, or it's not good for our soul, or it's not good for our health, or it's not good for our family, or something like that. Like, it's like there's two sides of us that are almost fighting for control. And I think inner peace is being in control of both sides, right? So we're in control of our shadow self, because sometimes we need that. Like when that kid was messing with me, like I let him out. I let the shadow self out because I'm like, now it's time for you to go and do your thing, because my light self is not enough. Sometimes you need your shadow self to protect you, but you can't let it consume you. You know, there has to be a balance between the two, and I think that's what inner peace truly is.
Yeah, so he's talking about inner peace, and I think on the pod we've talked about this, and I've mentioned this many times. It's like it's not very good when the guys are emotional, right? Like in this, I think that's what he's talking about. Correct me if I'm wrong, but and because prison is full of emotional men, where they fuck up, because when men become emotional, bad things happen. It's not because we don't know how to control our emotions, because through evolutions we've been selected by a group of women, our ancestors selected that way for us to be this, because back in the day this was about life or death. Like they had to select the strongest guy, the most guy that's ready to flip on a coin and defend the village, right? And I think that's what you're talking about. But nowadays we don't need that anymore. We're in a civilized world. We're very far away from any kind of a war, but that little thing lingers inside us. That emotional.
I see another example, like for example, when you argue with your girl, you know, sometimes you're arguing with her, and she says some outlandish shit, and so in your brain, you're automatically like you almost think of like, oh, I know I could say this. That's the asshole move, or I know I could say this to maybe start diffusing the situation. Yep. But then your shadow self is like, fuck
say
it. Say it, bitch.
Say
it. Demon time. Say it. And so I see that there too, which is not necessarily like men being aggressive and emotional, maybe emotional, but
it's just
not the same.
It's our aggression is different than our aggression is different than the girl's aggression. When girls get emotional, it's a little bit different. They don't understand the violence that can ensue from it, right? Like, I don't care how many clips you watch on Instagram or YouTube where girls are fighting. Majority of the girls is not like that, right? Like they don't just try to destroy shit. But when men become emotional, they start destroying shit. And I think that inner peace part is super important. Because if you cannot handle that, then you're gonna start doing bad things, and it's you're only like one bad thing away from snowballing and becoming a fucking monster, right?
So you want to hear something ironic? It is so much harder for people, men and women, in different ways, but men and women, it is so much harder for people to let go than hold on. You would think it would be the opposite. You would think it would be harder to hold on to things because it actually takes strength. Mm-hmm. It takes strain. It takes energy to continue to hold on to trauma, to stress. When you're pulling yourself up on the pull-up bar, it takes so much to hold on to that. But to just let go of something, that seems to be the hardest thing to do. But then once you do it, you realize that you feel a lot lighter than you did before. You feel like, damn, that was a lot easier than I thought.
And I think is that's because the times have changed, right? Like we no longer need to be that aggressive person, because the world is not aggressive anymore. We've made everything so fucking docile nowadays. Yeah,